Okay, so have you ever stumbled across some weird video online and just wondered, what on earth am I watching? Well, today we're diving into one of those. And believe it or not, it's going to connect the dots between high fashion, a Hollywood blockbuster, and mustard. Yeah, you heard that right. This is a wild story about how culture gets made.
It all kicks off with this really strange German monologue, all about mustard. Seriously, we found this thing, and at first it made absolutely no sense. So we're going to piece this mystery together, figure out what it is, where it came from, and why it's actually a perfect, kind of hilarious example of how culture works now.
All right, first things first. What are we even looking at here? This clip is from a German YouTube project, but it's not just any channel. It's this weird, wonderful art project called Banalitopia. So in the clip, you have this super deadpan narrator giving this incredibly detailed, almost condescending lecture to someone about their lumpy, mustard-colored sweater. The tone is so specific, and honestly, it's kind of aggressive. It's like you're being schooled by some sort of fashion-obsessed robot. And this speech, it's wild. It accuses the person wearing the sweater of thinking they're above fashion. But then it goes on this super detailed journey, tracing the exact shade of mustard. It starts with an Oscar de la Renta runway show back in 2002, then it mentions Giorgio Armani, then it follows the color as it trickles down into department stores, until, finally, it ends up in some sad little bargain bin, where this person supposedly found it. So you gotta ask, what is going on here? Why this much detail for a plain old sweater? Okay, to solve this mystery, we have to look at the bigger project. And get this, there's an actual academic paper written about Banalitopia. I'm not kidding. Someone wrote a scholarly paper about this weird YouTube thing, and it gives us all the context we need. So it turns out Banalitopia isn't just a bunch of random videos. Nope. It's a full-on, deliberate art project. Its whole deal is to take the absurdity of everyday, banal stuff, like a lecture about mustard, and use it to make a much bigger point about our culture. And this is a perfect example of what people call digital microproduction, where small indie creators can build these entire complex worlds with just a laptop and a YouTube channel. This means that monologue wasn't just some random joke, it's an intentional piece of art. So, what's the target? All right, this is where it all clicks into place. If that whole monologue sounded just a little bit familiar to you, like the rhythm, the structure, the condescending tone, well then you've got a fantastic memory for 2000s Hollywood movies. Because that mustard monologue, it's a nearly word-for-word parody of Miranda Priestley's legendary cerulean sweater speech from The Devil Wears Prada. That's right, it's the exact same speech, just, translated into German and with cerulean swapped out for mustard. And what's so incredible is how precise this parody is. They didn't just get the general idea, they recreated it beat for beat. We're talking the millions of dollars, countless jobs, Oscar de la Renta, even the line about the tragic casual corner, which becomes a sad corner in German. It is a perfect, absurd mirror. So to really appreciate what's happening here, we gotta rewind a bit and remember why that original speech from The Devil Wears Prada was such a big deal. Why was it so iconic? Well, in the movie, that's the moment. It's when Anne Hathaway's character, Andy, and all of us watching finally get it. Fashion isn't just silly clothes. No, it's a huge, powerful, influential system. It's basically the scene where the movie justifies its own existence. Miranda Priestley just lays it all out, right? She explains exactly how decisions made by a handful of people in a room somewhere directly control what billions of us wear every single day, whether we have a clue about it or not. And here's the key takeaway. That speech is really a defense of top-down, elite cultural power. Miranda is basically saying, oh, you think you made a choice? That's cute. No, the people in this room made that choice for you years ago. Okay, so let's circle back to Banalitopia. Now that we know the source material, we can finally figure out what this whole mustard sweater parody is really doing. Is it just a cheap copy? A knockoff? Or is something way more clever going on? Because this isn't just imitation for imitation's sake, it's a commentary. It's talking back.
See, by swapping out a glamorous, almost poetic word like cerulean for something as mundane as mustard, the entire argument gets knocked off its feet. Think about it. You take this speech delivered with icy perfection by Meryl Streep in a high-powered fashion office, and you turn it into a deadpan German voiceover about a condiment color. The project is using that absurdity to poke fun at the original's self-importance, to undercut its big claims to power.
And this whole chain of events, from a massive Hollywood movie to this tiny, obscure art project, it's a perfect snapshot of how culture works now, in the age of the internet.
Just think about the timeline here. In 2006, this huge piece of media is created by the top-down Hollywood machine. Fast forward a few years, and a small, bottom-up art project using these new digital tools just picks it up, takes it apart, and gives it this whole new critical meaning. It's like a little cultural David and Goliath story.
So, what does this all mean? The big takeaway is that culture isn't a one-way street anymore. It's not just Hollywood beaming things down to us. It's a conversation. This weird German art project and that Hollywood blockbuster, they're part of the same living, breathing cultural ecosystem, constantly talking to each other, remixing each other.
And that's really the big question this whole strange internet mystery leaves us with, isn't it? When culture becomes a conversation, who gets the last word? In a world where anyone with a YouTube account can talk back to Hollywood, who really gets to decide what it all means? It just goes to show you, even a monologue about a mustard-colored sweater can open up this huge story about power, creativity, and where culture is heading next.